welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you guys aren't already subscribed to my channel, my name is Soph. I'm predominantly over on Instagram, but I have been releasing videos every week this year, which has been my goal, so I'm very proud of myself for doing so. Basically, what I've been talking about in my videos lately is a mini cut that I've been doing. So I've done a few previous episodes talking about how to set yourself up for your mini cut in terms of calories and macros and deficits to go into, and then talking about training for fat loss. So if you guys haven't checked out those videos and you're interested, there's 2 back from this one. Just in the 3rd week of my mini cut, so far I have lost 2 kilos, which I'm super excited about. It's all tracking really well. I am starting to get a bit more hungry. Just gonna see how my body's responding. I've been talking a lot about like nutrition and kind of how to set yourself up, but now I want to talk about meal prepping and making sure you're staying on track by being prepared. And I know that meal prepping can be a kind of a source of confusion for a lot of people, so I just wanted to clear that up by taking you through how I meal prep. All right, I'm just gonna run through like basically 15 tips or like hacks for fast, efficient, good quality meal prep and how to set yourself up to make sure you nail it, because I find when I'm not prepared, when I don't have the food in the house, when I don't have anything cooked up, that is when cravings and things take over. You reach for stuff, you mindlessly eat, and it really sabotages your fat loss results. So being organized and prepared is so important to keeping you on track. So my first tip is to plan out your meals for the week. Plan out the meals that you're going to have for the week, and then from that you can take the ingredients that you need and create your shopping list, and then write your shopping list, everything you need to get from the supermarket, go get the shop done, and then you're sorted. All you need to do is cook. So this is just like basic shopping list of the things that I get. So I've like grouped the proteins together, the carbs, and then I've got vegetables and fats here. Another tip is doing these on 2 different days. So given the time that goes into meal prepping and shopping and everything, if you want to kind of feel less overwhelmed by the whole process, you could maybe go on a Saturday and buy your food and then do all the meal prepping on Sunday for the days ahead. Now, in terms of the foods that you are going to be buying, obviously it depends on your meal plan. I am someone that has been eating whole foods and just really nutritious foods. Rather than doing if it fits your macros, I'm finding I'm responding really well to doing whole foods. Because I'm focusing a lot on saving you time, here are the things that I do to really crunch down how much time I'm spending on my meal prep. When I'm doing my shop, I always make sure that there are frozen foods that I buy. So I buy a lot of like frozen beans, frozen vegetables, frozen berries, and when they're actually packed and like frozen, they're frozen fresh, so they can actually be more nutritious and fresher than the vegetables that you buy like whole. So frozen is actually really good. I was really funny about it when I first started buying frozen. I was like, it's gonna be soggy and gross, but it's actually really good because when you prep your food, you can put things in frozen and they like defrost overnight in the fridge or over the next few days in the fridge, and then when you heat them up, they're actually like really fresh. So if you feel funny about that, don't. I did as well, and then I started doing it and I'm like, okay, game changer. On that, I also like to buy pre-cut or easy to cook as is things. So like minces are really easy, just chuck them in as they are and mix them up and cook them, and you can get like pre-cut chicken, obviously pieces of steak, things that you can just put in straight away and you don't have to do any prep. All right, so once you have your ingredients, my next tip is to clear the space that you're going to be working in. So clear your kitchen, make sure everything's tidied, wiped down, all your dishes are put away, and everything's just ready to go. So you have a really clean, open space that you can work in, because you're gonna be doing multiple things at once with your prep. All right, I'm gonna jump over into the kitchen now because I have done my shopping and I've got all the ingredients ready to go. All right, so this is a typical shop for me in terms of the ingredients that I would get. There's a lot of vegetables. So the vegetables I usually like rotate between are leeks, broccolini, snow peas, peppers, zucchini. I have so much zucchini or courgette wherever you're from. Tomatoes, mushrooms, pumpkin. I also have sweet potato, rice as my carbs, and normal potatoes here, and pumpkin as the carb sources. My fats are usually avocado, butter, oils and nuts. And then for protein, we've got whitefish, salmon, prawns, steak, chicken. I've also got eggs here. And I also have protein powders. I also like to buy herbs like basil, parsley, and coriander. Sorry for the coriander haters out there. Lemons and limes I like to use to make my food taste really good. So I've got like a Mexican spice, I've got a Cajun spice, I use heaps of salt and pepper. They're the only ones I use. I don't use any of these things. I just make sure I look at the ingredients and see this one's just paprika, chipotle chili, chilies, cumin, coriander, oregano, onion, garlic, cinnamon, sea salt, and pepper. So it's like nothing crap in there, no additives or like gross things. Cinnamon I use a shit ton of when I bake. My pantry, let's see what I've got in here. This is the supplement drawer. There's a lot. I use oats, I use almond spread and peanut butters. I've got some nuts here. Sometimes I will use this almond meal for like rolling any of my like chicken and baking in chicken or fish. I'm just in the kitchen now about to start my prep. What I've done is clean the space and I've got out the ingredients that I want to start with for my preparation. I have also put the oven on so that that's already hot to go, and I like to start with anything I'm going to be baking just because that takes the longest. I'm going to be cutting up the pumpkin now to put in the oven. One of my other tips is multiple cooking methods. So I've got the oven going and then I'll be boiling or steaming in this. I'm going to be frying up my chicken in this. That is for the potato and the pumpkin. And then over here I have my rice cooker that's going to be doing my rice whilst I'm doing everything else. Now in terms of weighing things out cooked versus raw, basically whatever's easiest for you, as long as you are tracking it in your MyFitnessPal as cooked or raw. So for myself, when I was working full time, I used to weigh everything raw so that I could cook it in a big batch. For example, with this pumpkin, if I needed like 50 grams to last me for 3 days, I would cut up 150 grams and then I'd cook it all together, and then once I pulled it out of the oven, I would portion it. When you cook it, it changes how much it weighs. It's not gonna go in as 150 grams and come out as 150 grams. So depending on how you cook things, they either expand with water or dry out with baking. So keep that in mind. If you are someone that likes to put everything in containers on the day, that's awesome. That'll save you heaps of time. You can do that and portion all out. Or if you're someone that just likes to have the ingredients in the fridge ready to go and you can pull it out the night before work and prep it, you can do that too. Whatever's easiest and whatever works for you. In terms of what I actually cook with, I am a huge fan of sprays just because you have more control over how much you're actually using. With the spray, so much less comes out and you can take like just a tiny bit out of your fats. I also don't cook with oil because it can become carcinogenic under the heat. So if I am cooking with anything, it'll be butter or that coconut oil spray. Another tip is to clean as you go. So I actually keep a little bin bag at my feet so that I can just chuck these scraps into really quick and easy. Cleaning as you go is just gonna make your life so much easier because then you don't have to clean everything at the end. So clean as you go and just keep washing up and it'll just become like a routine. It'll make things go really quick. With the pumpkin, I like to leave the skin on. Again, it makes it faster. I actually really like the taste. There's a lot of nutrients in the skin. Another really good thing, they're all really basic tips, guys, but they add up. Baking paper, instead of putting it straight on the pan, 1, because I think they bake better, and 2, because then you don't have to clean the pan. Like nothing should drizzle out onto the pan. So you literally just put the baking paper on, put the pumpkin on, cook it, and then chuck the baking paper out, and that's your cleaning done for that. So for my pumpkin, I like to add the coconut oil spray, put on cinnamon, which I love, and salt and pepper, and then sometimes I'll also do some paprika. I just like to mix it up between those spices based on how I'm feeling, and keeping it nice and flavoursome. What I like to do is when I'm cutting up my vegetables, and even my meats, I really like to get variety in how I cut things, because I just find if you're playing with textures and sizes, it really just changes how the food is actually being consumed and like how it tastes, and it just makes it a bit more exciting. So for example, broccoli, usually I would just cut the ends off and chuck it in and steam it as is. I've actually really liked finally cutting it up and just having like little bite-sized pieces. Also helps you with your digestion too, so that's a really good tip. Other things I do it with, like salmon or steaks, which are proteins I would typically have like as a whole. I've been finally slicing the steak after I've cooked it, and with the salmon just breaking it up in the pan so that you're eating, you know, little bits of it throughout your meals. And I really just like cooking them all in the one pan so the flavors and the meat fats kind of run through the vegetables there. So that's a really good tip as well, to make sure you're having a bit of fun with the food that you are cooking. Whilst you're doing all that, it's also a really good time to have things marinating. If you have some herbs and spices that you want to be cooking with, you can marinate them so they soak in and you get more flavors. But I'm gonna cook this chicken in this Cajun spice mix, and I'm just gonna cook all the chicken breasts and then put them into their glass containers. When it comes to flavoring, I just like to use natural things. So I'll show you guys what I use. So I use coconut oil spray, butter and olive oil, and then my spices that are my favorites to use are black pepper, cinnamon, sea salt, this Mexican spice mix. You can probably just find some good spices at like your health food shop, and just make sure you check the ingredients. Ground cumin, that's really good on meats. And I'll use things like fresh basil, parsley and coriander. And then the only sauce that I use is like this organic tomato ketchup. It's basically tomatoes and like a tiny bit of sugar. Guys, if I am prepping, I will make sure, if I'm hungry, I always have one of my prepped weighed out meals ready to be eaten throughout my prep or before my prep. Because when you're prepping food, it's so easy to pick and chew and nibble and take a bite out of the food that you're eating. And those little things just go so far when it comes to impacting your calories. Like tiny little nibbles really add up. So make sure you are not doing that. And if you are hungry, have a meal that is included in your calories and macros, and stick to your calories. Nothing feels better than it. Nothing feels better. Nothing feels better than it. Nothing feels better. We don't got high. This is what you're not. Nothing feels better than it. When it comes to your storage, I use only glass containers. This is because they are BPA free. Reheating things, say if you do reheat in a microwave, is so much better in a glass container than plastic, so you're not getting all the like toxins and stuff going into your food. It just keeps things fresher as well. Now that I've cooked that chicken, I'm just gonna pop it into a glass container, and I'll wait for it to cool down first. So let things cool down before you put them into the containers, or at least before you put the lid on the container, and then put it in the fridge. Okay, important tip. When you are meal prepping, make sure you are either listening to music or an audiobook or a good podcast, because it can get boring. Just music and dance parties to make the time go faster. When it comes to frequency of meal prep, I actually used to prep for the entire 5 days, Monday to Friday at work. I found that just worked for me because I like to do a chunk of time, but by the time you got to like your Thursday and Friday meals, they just weren't as fresh, they weren't as tasty, and I just wasn't excited about them. So one of my tips is prepping on Sunday for Monday to Wednesday, and then Wednesday night do your Thursday and Friday prep. That way you can also change the foods that you are having. So if you're someone that really likes variety and you don't like sticking to the same proteins or vegetables, whatever, you can mix it up and then cook something else, and it will be fresh as well. Alright, I'm just gonna fire through 5 of my favorite top tips for really quick, fast, effective meal prep for people that don't even have time to do this. So my first thing is buy yourself one of these. This is a little microwave egg cooker. So if you really just don't have any time, you can keep this at work. You can buy it at like the supermarket for like $3 or something, like $5, something like that. Keep it at work. All you need to have at work is a fridge, or bring with you some eggs, and you just crack open the eggs raw, put them in here, and then you put it in the microwave and you have eggs for breakfast. And then you can bring easy to make things, like you could take an avocado with you, cherry tomatoes, and then that's your breakfast. You've got eggs. You could even grab some rocket or something, and that's like a super quick throw together breakfast at work if you really haven't had time to prep. My other favorite fast breakfast for taking to work is overnight oats. So you just get yourself a jar. Again, I bought this from the supermarket, and all I put in here, 40 and 50 grams of oats depending on your calories and macros, some almond milk, some chia seeds. You could put in your protein powder, or you could put in peanut butter powder or peanut butter, and then I just top it with frozen berries. Put lid on, add a bit of water as well, mix it all together. Put this in the fridge overnight. You can make like 5 of these and sit them in the fridge, and then they are just so quick and ready to go if you don't have time to cook your breakfast in the morning. Also, I have touched on frozen vegetables. So obviously, again, if you don't have time to like sit here and cut and steam and do vegetables that way, literally just grab frozen vegetables, chuck them in your containers, weigh them out, bang, that's done. All you need to do are your proteins, your meats. So again, if you don't have time to do those, you can buy like a barbecue chicken. Not the biggest fan, but if you're really stuck, you can. Just don't eat the skin. Put some salad into that. You can buy the little pouches of rice. So you can buy the little pouches of rice that are literally cooked, put them in the microwave. So that, you can buy some salmon sashimi, that goes really well together. You can make yourself like a little poke bowl. If you do have the time to cook your protein, but you don't have time to cut it, you can buy, as I said, the pre-cut meats, the minces. They're just super quick and easy to cook up. Like, they really don't take long at all. Just add the spices and that'll just make it taste even better, and add that with the rice or something super easy like that. Alright, if you guys are stuck for ideas, my go-to will be a protein shake. So what I do is I portion out my protein. So buy yourself some Ziploc bags. You just scoop the protein in, and then you can take that with you. You can take like a bunch and put the scoop in it so you can weigh it out, or you can just take portions in each Ziploc bag to work with your shaker, and you can just have that with water, or you can take almond milk or something in your shaker to work with you, and then that's gonna give you a protein snack too. Another really good one is rice cakes, because you can just go to the supermarket and buy them. You can just put some avocado on them, some nut butter, handful of nuts. Just make sure you're weighing everything, because these things really do add up and take out of your calories, especially if you're playing with high fat foods like nuts. 1 gram equals 9 calories, as opposed to your carbs and your proteins, where 1 gram equals 4 calories. So you just got to be careful with the high fat content snacks that you are having. When it comes to tracking all of your food, having a pen and paper is really handy, because as you pull things out of pans and oven, you can forget how much you've actually portioned aside for every meal when you're actually weighing it out. So what I like to do is have all my containers ready, put them in there, portion out the chicken first, and then I'll write down on a piece of paper, okay, that was like 120 grams of chicken, and then portion out, say, the broccolini, okay, that was 80 grams of broccolini. And that way, when you go to put it into MyFitnessPal, you're not just trying to remember everything that you did in your head. Just had to come and lie down and have a little break from all of the prep because I'm tired. So I just wanted to say to you guys, this was gonna be just like the one video where I was covering like how to meal prep, my meal prep tips, showing you a little bit of stuff in my shop, which I've done. But I also wanted to cover, I put some questions out on my Instagram for what you guys wanted me to cover on this video. And there were just also questions about prep and nutrition and cutting and how to avoid cravings. So I'm actually going to cover that, as well as eating voluminous foods, which I've been talking a little bit on my Instagram about. So I'm going to cover that in the next part of this. I'm just going to break this into 2 parts and talk about that next time for you guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video today and watching what I get up to with my meal prep, and hopefully there's some tips that you can take away. If you guys are loving this series, let me know. If there's any questions you guys have, put them in the comments below. I'll make sure I answer them in the the videos that are following. I've only got 3 weeks left of this cut, so there's only going to be 3 more videos. So if you guys need me to cover something, please let me know. Like, I love getting feedback from you because it just means I'm putting content out there that you're actually wanting to see. Anyway, if you enjoyed this, subscribe to my channel. Please support your girl and give me a like, and I'll be coming to you guys next week with some more info on nutrition and meal prepping. Mwah. Bye.